All right, y'all, we back. I lost connection. My internet acting low. I guess this ice storm is kind of, you know, it's kind of messing up my internet connection. It's been kind of weird all day, but we gonna finish this. We gonna finish this thing. So I did a part two. It's gonna be part two of the stream. Let's continue.
Kozuki clan stuff, and so on and so forth. And it's easy to think that Momonosuke told Zunisha to pull up because they need support going into Wano country. But there's also a good chance that Momonosuke wasn't able to communicate with Zunisha again after the incident with Jack the Drought. Zunisha wasn't under duress anymore. This could explain why Odin, a member of the Kozuki clan, couldn't talk to Zunisha as well, because back then it was just vibing, as per usual. And then also, Momonosuke, I think during the entire arc, would actually show signs that some help or support be on the way. Especially if it was, someone like Zunisha. A kid like him, he'd be like giddy, like, no, Kaido, you'll see, man. You'll see, Kaido.
All right, he being weird right now, but about that. So I kind of agree with him. I don't know if I don't know if Zunisha or if Momonosuke commanded Zunisha to come to Wano. I think that maybe it has something to do with like Zunisha's original order. Like maybe Zunisha's kind of on a time clock, and it kind of like it was told that this day would arrive, right? And whoever commanded it probably had a good idea when like maybe they could tell the future or something. I don't know, but or maybe it's something like either Zunisha kind of felt was going to happen. Like maybe Zunisha felt as though it was time. It was that time, and Zunisha to me is probably kind of like okay. Let me stop because I'm kind of jumbling my own thoughts up. So Zunisha, when they was given that order, they might have been told that okay, here's your order. You're going to walk the seas until a said date, right, or a said time, and maybe it's something that Zunisha feels. Maybe somebody told him like the specific day, or maybe it's something that, like I said, maybe something is Zunisha feels, right? Like it's like an instinct, right? Like animals have these instincts when a hurricane's about to happen, they sense it and they act before the hurricane happens or any other natural disaster. Like they have like a instinct, right? And so maybe it's something to do with Zunisha, like just almost knew. It was like a instinct that Zunisha went to Wano because he knew that it was about that time for whatever purpose Zunisha has to fill. Because I think I know Zunisha was punished to walk the seas, but I also think that command gave it a purpose as well. And in this purpose, Zunisha's instinct is telling him, okay, it's about time to go fulfill this purpose that you're meant to fill, right? So I think it could be something along that line, right?
Yeah, if Zunisha was pulling up like that, I'll be pretty confident too. I'll be pretty damn snarky too. Like, yeah, Kaido, you have no idea what's coming your way, man. So I think that would be some signs as well if he did tell Zunisha to pull on through. So there's a few other angles we can look at this from. And one is really, really damn interesting. First of all, Luffy, Monkey D. Yes, Luffy could have commanded Zunisha to come through, even though it's a very, very, very slim chance, because again, as far as we know, he doesn't have the ability to command Zunisha. But when he talked to Momonosuke with the voice of all things, his voice of all things seemed to be so potent, so strong. Law's crew could hear Luffy speak telepathically. So it's possible that he was able to telepathically broadcast his voice so loudly to anything with that ability, the voice of all things, and in conjunction with Momonosuke being the main target for Luffy's voice of all things, saying how they're gonna beat Kaido and defeat Kaido, Zunisha might have picked that up too. So it's like having your phone on speaker. and you're talking to someone, but someone in the other room hears what you're saying. Luffy beat Kaido. Zunisha heard that. Beat Kaido. What? Picked it up. As you order, as you command, and it was nearby, walking nearby, and then boom, he pulled through. Both.
I don't know. I don't know if I really like that theory, because I kind of like the step, like what we kind of know about Zunisha, that Zunisha is like it's commanded by the Koski, right? So if Luffy could order it, it just kind of kills that whole Koski ability of it being special specifically for the Koski clan. You know, I mean, it would, don't get me wrong, for Luffy that'd be a dope feat, you know, or it'd be a dope thing to do, but I don't know. You know, I don't know if I really like that idea that Luffy called out to Zunisha, or Luffy just kind of broadcasted something and Zunisha was the one to kind of pick up, right? You know, I don't know if I'm really rocking with that theory.
What's even more mysterious and what's even more intriguing is going back to chapter 822. And this one would be in lockstep with the reason why Zunisha was punished for his crimes long ago. Because in the beginning of chapter 822, after Chopper and the doctors heal up Zunisha's leg from Jack's assault, Dr. Miyagi, he ponders a question about Zunisha. He says that every life must eventually come to an end. If it does have a will, talk about Zunisha, then I wish to ask it a question. For these 1,000 years, what have you been walking towards? Miyagi, doctor, but also philosopher and great thinker. He's thinking. Very important here. He implies that Zunisha for 1,000 years has been walking to a specific target in mind. And it also implies that when Zunisha has reached that target, Zunisha might die, since the journey will come to an end, and in the process it will atone for its sins that committed 1,000 millennia ago. The target of Zunisha might have been Wano country the whole time. And finally, it has reached the target at this junction in this final hour.
Yeah, I mean, but I kind of see where he's going, and I kind of like that idea as well, because that's kind of what I was talking about when it was commanded. Because I think that when it was commanded, it probably was commanded in Wano, right? So I think whoever ordered it was from Wano, and they forced it to walk for whatever years to eventually come back to Wano, But I think it's more to fulfill a purpose, right? Not to destroy Wano. I don't know if it's to destroy Wano, you know, but I mean, it being punished, maybe it did try to destroy Wano before, but you know, I think it was commanded when it was punished. It was given a purpose, also with a punishment to walk, but then also eventually fulfill a purpose. But whoever commanded Zunisha to walk like all them years, it's kind of messed up. I ain't gonna lie, that's a little overboard of a punishment, you know. And I guess, you know, it's kind of like prison, you know, but for an elephant that lives a long time, I guess in a sense that would be the equivalent of giving a person life, right? Maybe 50 years, 50, 60 years, like 25 to life.
Which is crazy, because it does seem a bit odd that Zunisha would just so happen to reach Wano country at this particular point in time, right here, right now, when it's been walking across the oceans for so long. How did it not find Wano country before, earlier than this time frame? But it could also be a similar reason as to why things can get lost for centuries upon centuries. Oh, wait a minute now. Things that are just hidden mysteries and legends that we just aren't privy to hidden in the mist. The new world of the Grand Line is one of those locations in the world where odd things can happen. Islands can completely hide their magnetic field. Random weather phenomena can just appear, manifest out of thin air. There's a reason why the standard log post doesn't work in the new world, and you have a modified version where it has 3 log posts in one. Zunesha is known as the Phantom Island for a reason, and the way it appeared from the mist at the endless chapter, it also does remind you of things that are hidden in the mist as well, i.e. the Florian Triangle, based on the Bermuda Triangle in the real world, a place where weird, mysterious things happen all the time, but always veiled, hidden in.
Man, we need more about, like, in my opinion, you know, I'm like yearning for more of the Florian Triangle. I like mystery type stuff, right? Like, you know, like even in real life, I like conspiracies. I like stuff like the Bermuda Triangle thing, like, you know, very mysteries, right? So, like, I feel as though, especially because I don't know if Oda has time to dive into all these mysteries that the Florian Triangle may have, which I'm fine, but it's like, at least give us a spinoff, a movie, something. Give us something where we could just discover the Florian Triangle. You know, like I'm of the belief that, you know, One Piece created this universe, right? Oda created this One Piece universe, which at this point is more than just a series. It's a universe. It's like almost like Marvel or DC, right? You got all these characters, you know, with all these characters, all these mysteries, all these conspiracies, all these different things. I feel as though after the series is over, Oda has so much to work with to continue it, like a spinoff. Like, and I don't mean, when I say continue it, I don't mean like start a whole new adventure over where it's like, let's go find the One Piece again. No, we did that. We've been there. We've done that. It's, you know, it's done. It was great. It was a wonderful journey. It's fine. Like, I'm talking about when we get to that point of the story, when we end this story. But there's other routes that Oda could go that could keep the series alive, the universe alive, without being rehashed, right? Like, there's other routes he could go. There's other characters he could create. Like, there's other characters we can follow, or there's new characters that could be created, like maybe in the future timeline, right? You could have a future character, you know, and you know, I've thrown this out there before, but like maybe create somebody who's like an archaeologist, somebody like Robin, right? Somebody like Nicole Robin, where their whole purpose is to find out all the secrets of the One Piece world, right? And you know, so a lot of stuff that Oda kind of hinted that maybe been talked about, but we never really actually learned anything of, or will never learn anything of in the main story. That's where you can really touch on those things like the Florian Triangle, the Tequila Wolf, right? Nobody talks about that, right? Nobody talks about Tequila Wolf, which I think it's called Tequila Wolf. It's that bridge that Robin was sent to by Kuma, and then the revolutionaries came and pretty much freed Robin and the people who was with her. So, like, we don't get nothing of that. Like, they're building this big bridge to connect countries and stuff for the, you know, to make it easier, or the easier to travel for, you know, the world government. But nobody talks about these things. So, like, you know, I think it would be pretty dope to have a spinoff where we could actually talk about those, you know. But let's continue.
In the mist, it could be genuinely that simple, because the One Piece world is genuinely that crazy of a world. And legends and powerful creatures have plenty of places to hide. But maybe
I think I'm gonna do a stream like that. I'm gonna do a stream where you know, maybe talk about different routes that Oda could go with spinoffs, or you know, something like some of that you know. I know I probably talked about it a bit, but I just want to go into depth, right? Like if I was writing a story.
the idea of finding Wano country is the wrong idea. It might be rather the time is ripe, or it's the correct time to go to Wano country to end its journey. But why? It is weird to think about it in this way, true, about how the time is ripe, now is the time. But when you look at the world as a whole, this time period is the right time period to change the world, because the major players, the fated players, have arrived to change the world. And for Zunesha, the most important thing here would be Momonosuke. Momonosuke exists in this era. There are two very intriguing things about Momonosuke that I want to point out here. Number one is that Momonosuke, after reading Oden's logs in chapter 1014, he stated that there was no way he could die. He realized that he had a mission, he had a duty to something, and he couldn't die before it was completed. And the page right after Momonosuke has his realization is when his voice of all things activates. It just so happens to activate. It's in conjunction with Luffy talking to Momonosuke telepathically. This could be an underlining symbolic cue on Oda's part, noting to the voice of all things playing an important role for the reason why Momonosuke cannot die, i.e. Zunesha. And then the second thing is when we compare Momo's ability to command Zunesha and no one else has the right to do so, there could be someone else, but I will save that at the end of the video. The thing here is that it is a very similar situation.
Oh, never mind. I was thinking like Shirahoshi controlling, because he said there could be somebody else, and then immediately we cut to Shirahoshi.
To Shirahoshi's ability to command the Sea Kings. Only she, as Poseidon, has the right to command the Sea Kings, which is also the reason why some folks believe that Zunesha has a tie or two, at least, to an ancient weapon, or is an ancient weapon. Now, in chapter 968, when the Sea Kings are talking to each other about their sovereign being born soon, 10 years from that point in time, and another sovereign being born.
Oh shoot, I didn't. I guess when it said of the day the two sovereigns shall meet again, I think when I first seen that, I might have probably chalked it up to being Shirahoshi and Monkey D. Luffy, right? But, you know, like I've said before about Momonosuke possibly being like an ancient weapon, like maybe Uranus or something, you know, maybe not Pluton, but Uranus, right? Or, you know, and he could be the other sovereign that those Sea Kings was talking about. So if we get, Shirahoshi and Momonosuke meeting, right? That would be the day the two sovereigns shall meet again. Man.
In the distant
Bars.
sea, the safe bet is Luffy. But notice how when the Sea Kings talk to each other, they say that they were delighted in anticipation of the day the two sovereigns shall meet again. Luffy and Shirahoshi have already met, and they didn't show any signs of happiness, of anticipation, anything of that sort, which would imply that Luffy is not the second sovereign that the Sea Kings are talking about, since they themselves did see Luffy and Shirahoshi meet. And if Luffy is Joy Boy, this means that Joy Boy is outside the paradigm of the sovereign. So hold on now. If that's the case here, who the hell is the other sovereign that the Sea Kings are talking about? And here's the thing. Folks would say it's Vivi, which is interesting. I can definitely see why. Because the idea of the sovereigns, in a way, is then be able to control ancient weapons. And Pluton is hidden somewhere in the sands of Alabasta, the original Pluton. This may mean that only a Nefertari, or the right Nefertari, like Vivi, would be able to control the ancient ship. But if the Sea Kings are just talking about two particular sovereigns, because they just simply say, our sovereign, and there's another one going to be born. They're not giving us any number cap. This would imply that there are sovereigns outside of those two sovereigns.
And when you and thinking about it, right? And think about it. It says our sovereign will be born soon, in a distant sea. That kind of speaks to me. A distant sea, right? Now the obvious thing would be a distant sea would be just a different sea, right? But what if when they say a distant sea, they might mean a different time, right? But even though at this point Momonosuke probably was in the current timeline because this is right before Punk Hazard. So, at that time, Momonosuke was around, but maybe they didn't know he was in the current timeline. So, but they, something told him like, there's another sovereign coming from a different timeline, right? And so, but and that kind of those things out of whack, if Momonosuke never got sent through time, and he was meant to, unless him getting sent through time was part of destiny, right? It was meant to happen, So when they say distant sea, it could mean a distant time, a distant sea in a different time or something. I don't know, that's kind of what I'm thinking with Momonosuke. But around this time, I would say Momonosuke is, he was probably in Wano or Dressrosa, pretty much escaping Wano, I would say around this time. Probably already escaped Wano, probably escaping like Dressrosa, just got the Punk Hazard at this point. That's what I would think.
And this is where Momonosuke can slide on in. There are other sovereigns that populate the world of One Piece, but there are a specific set of sovereigns that are particularly important because they may have the ability to actually control the ancient weapons. Momonosuke was born in the past on Whitebeard's ship, so the timeline doesn't match up. Even if you want to include the idea of him being sent to the future, it still doesn't add up. But the idea here, again, is that you could have other sovereigns in the world of One Piece. So based on this then, why would Momonosuke be able to control Zunesha, but not Oden, even though they're both clan members of the Kozuki clan? Number one, Momonosuke is clearly on the path to becoming a leader of Wano, the shogun of Wano. But Oden never really wanted to be that. He was more of an explorer or an adventurer rather than a ruler. So basically, he wasn't the right Kozuki clan member. Just how Roger wasn't the correct member of the D clan because he arrived to Laugh Tale too soon, Oden wasn't the right or the fated member of the Kozuki clan, but Momonosuke is. Hence the idea of Momo being one of these sovereigns. But the second thing, snip snip, is the second half of who Momonosuke is. Not a Kozuki clan thing, but an Amatsuki family thing. Because Momonosuke's mother, Toki, is a member of the Amatsuki family. And after all, she was born during the Void Century. And she just so happened to be born into a branch or something of the Amatsuki family that was outside of Wano country. Remember, she spent her time traveling through time trying to get to Wano country until she...
I love that moment in the anime, man. Like when Toki was telling Oden and Whitebeard that she needed to go to Wano, and they had that little stink face. Oh man, we got Cube in the chat. Oh, well, welcome there, guy. Welcome there. He said, I don't see it with Momonosuke. Lame with how he says Oden. Yeah. But, yeah, I don't know, man. Like, because I think the thing with Momonosuke is he came from a different timeline. So it's like, like, was him going through the timeline, is that part of his destiny, right? Like, that's like fate or whatever had to force him to come to the current timeline in order to fulfill what needs to happen, right? Just like Shirahoshi was born in this timeline, and Luffy was born in this timeline too. So just like Goldie Roger showed up too early, Luffy showed up at the right time. But at the same time, if Momonosuke was never sent into the future, Luffy would have never met Momonosuke, right? And if Momonosuke is indeed a sovereign, it's like, and let's say he was needed, he was necessary in order to fulfill said prophecy, he would have never came through the past and would have never met Luffy and fulfilled whatever purpose he needed to fulfill. So I'm kind of, unless Momonosuke going through time is part of his destiny, okay, that could possibly work itself out, I guess. But let's continue.
Eventually ran into Oden. If Zunisha's target from the very beginning was Wano country, then the goals of Toki and Zunisha are in lockstep. They have the same goal in mind: reach Wano country. And note to this too, in chapter 967, in the seas near Wano country, Toki just so happens to get ill. She gets sick and she cannot continue on the voyage. However, the next destination right after Toki is sent to Wano country is Zou. It just so happens to be Zou. So Toki was never actually on Zou when Oden first arrived, which means that during the Oden flashback, if there is/was a connection with Toki and her family with Zunisha, then Oda decided that it was not the right time to showcase this connection during the Oden flashback. That's why I gotta scratch her chinny chin chin as to why exactly, specifically, she wanted to reach Wano country. Again.
Okay, so I see where he's going with it. It's not the... Okay, so it's not necessarily the Koski clan that are pretty much, I guess, gave the order to Zunisha and they have the connection with Zunisha. It might be the Amasaku clan, whatever Toki, whatever her family lineage is, they might be the ones that's connected to Zunisha. Like that could be the case. Well, let me continue.
Again, that could have been Zunisha's destination from the jump. So it does make you wonder if Zunisha's crimes that he committed 1,000 years ago were against the Kozuki and or the citizens of old Wano. And the Amasuki family might have played a role in this, since Toki was clearly born outside of Wano country during the Void Century. And also at the beginning of chapter 1037, we see a balloon of Toki while the citizens are partying in the capital. So even though the Amatsuki family did support the leaders of Wano, the Kozuki clan at the time, and were even daimyos of a certain region in Wano country, the Amatsuki family, or the union of those two families, was the key to actually controlling Zunisha. So obviously this train of thought does go against the idea of Momonosuke individually being this unique fated sovereign, and it's more so his family's Kekken Genkai is what allows him to actually command Zunisha. Therefore, in theory, Hiyori would also be able, if she had the voice of all things, would also be able to command Zunisha. So there are many, many, many reasons.
I don't know. I kind of like the idea of Momonosuke just being unique. You know, like if Hiyori can control Zou as well, that would kind of, to me, it would kind of kill the uniqueness of what Momonosuke did or is able to do with Zunisha. But you know, I guess it could make sense though if it's more of a Amurasaki. I don't remember the family name. If it was like an ability, a shared trait among them, but like because when you think about it, like you look at Shirahoshi, you know, she come from the royal family. Like her, not all of the Fishman royalty, like the the royal family of the Fishman Island, not all of them could control Sea Kings. You know, it was something where one, I guess one like a mermaid princess every many years is pretty much the Poseidon, right? So, but it comes every so often, you know. It's not like everybody in that family could get it. So, to me, it would make more sense if somebody like Momonosuke came by every so often as well, and it's just not some ability that a family can do, you know, like the Kosuke family or the Amurasaki family can do, you know.
There's many reasons why Zunesha could be here, but the final question, and the simplest question, is what is Zunesha going to do now that it is here? Man, what is Zunesha about to do? If Vegapunk is on these War Government ships, then Zunesha won't attack, or if it does attack, they'll be able to evade, because Vegapunk is still too important to be off screen. That's number one, obviously. And this also might be some reinforcements from the citizens of Zou. After all, the Mink and the Kozuki family do have legacy. They do have history with each other that spans clearly centuries. But I'm not too sure if it matters exactly who is on Zou, unless there's someone special, like Sabo's on Zou. Like Sabo and Kuma and Julie Bonnie, they're all on Zou, and they're about to pull up. Maybe Monkey D. Dragon needed a new mount, and he's riding on in with, listen, who knows, okay? I'm not too sure if it actually matters who particularly is on Zunesha. I think more so, it's the big man itself. What is it going to do? And the main thing I see Zunesha being here for is doing or helping with the thing that needs to happen at the end of this arc. Opening the borders of Wano. Now, to be honest, I have no idea how this would happen and like what way, like what the details on how the borders would be open. Like Zunesha could trunk it down, he could like step on it and then squish it down, he could like pull the islands off the plateau. Who knows, okay? But the borders of Wano country need to be open, because if Zunesha's crime 1,000 years ago led to the closing of Wano country's borders, i.e. Wano in the position that it's in right now, that may have been the reason why Wano country centuries later was known as the Land of Gold. Remember Yukimaru's words in chapter 937. He notes to how Wano country in the distant past was known as the Land of Gold, and pirates and even world nobles wanted to rule Wano country for this gold. But the legendary swordsman Ryoma was able to fend off these individuals and protect Wano country. Potentially, very similar to Shandora, the city of gold, maybe the reason why they had to close their borders was because of this gold. And that may had involved Zunesha centuries before Ryoma's time. Then Zunesha would have to pay for its sins and atone for its crimes by reversing what it had initiated 1,000 years ago. Whatever it would have to be, it would have to be done by Zunesha. But at the end of it all, Zunesha, like Miyagi said in chapter 822, all things eventually die. And Zunesha, after completing its journey and atoning for its sins, would die.
All right, so that's the video pretty much. You know,
I think I'm losing my mind.
Please! So it looks like Ichigo has come to spirit away Zoro's soul into the Seirete, where Zoro will
my bad, y'all. Video played automatically. Okay, so Zunesha died. Okay, like, okay, like it being old, I can see that it probably being at the end of its lifespan. So I can give you that. I can give you that. But what Zunesha is coming to Wano for, I think it's clearly to bring down the borders of Wano. And kind of like what he said, I don't really know how it's going to be able to do that because they're not like normal borders that you would think. Like, let's say when you think of borders, you think of maybe a wall, right? It's more of like a natural, you think of like an edge, but it's like a natural border where it's like on top of a mountain, right? Like, how do you bring down a natural border without destroying the country, right? You might need somebody like Pika's devil fruit ability to control the terrain, right? Like, unless let's say when they talked about the devil fruit, the awakening of the devil fruit, right? That the Gorosei talked about. Maybe Zoe has some terrain manipulation ability, that will allow Wano to pretty much be brought down. I don't really know. Like, maybe, and in that case, maybe something like that could cause Zoe to die, right? Zunesha to die. Maybe it's like it has to kind of like Law's ability, right? Like, in order to pull off this immortality surgery, Law has to give his life, to make whoever the person of Law's choosing or the target of this ability be immortal. Law would have to give his life, and maybe it's something similar to Zoe. In order for Zoe to accomplish its task in bringing down his border, maybe manipulating some terrain or something, maybe it has to give up its ability, and that's part of the awakening, right? It's like, it awakens the devil fruit, and it accomplishes the purposes. It accomplished the purpose, and then it dies. So, I could see it being something like that. Because, again, I don't really know. Like, they keep saying we got to bring down these borders. But it's not like it's a wall, right? Where you could just knock it down. It's not like the borders of Wano is not like a wall. Like, if it was a wall, I get it. You could get something big and just, like, something like Zoe and just use his trunk and just go down and start knocking down these walls, right? But unless Zunesha has like control of some other Zuneshas and there's more Zuneshas coming, right? Like, there's more these big elephants on their way, and they start going to work on this mountain, but at the same time safely bringing the part where the country is down safely. Something along that line. Like, I don't know how they would do that without it being no major damages to the country. You know what I'm saying? So, again, I don't know how you bring down the borders to Wano, but it has something to do with Zoe, right? It has something to do with Zunesha. Maybe it could be that mystery devil fruit that we kind of got a glimpse of in, what was it, chapter 1037, I think. So it could be, like, that could be the case. Or maybe it just knocks it down. I don't know. Maybe the country just safely falls, and like, I don't know how that's going to work. But yeah, anyway, that's pretty much the stream. We had a little technical difficulties earlier, but I had to kind of break this stream down to 2 parts. So yeah, if you start in on this part, there's a part 1. I didn't name it part 1 because, again, I didn't know that was going to happen. But there's a part 1 to this stream. I suggest you go watch it from the beginning. And yeah, so anyway, it's your boy Sean Peter Bluff guy. Hey! And so y'all have a good evening, rest of your day. I hope the weather is not as bad as, I hope it's not bad where you're at. Here it's cold. It's not like it was last year February. So, I can't really complain. I still got my power and everything, which is a good thing. But yeah, so make sure you like the stream and like part 1 as well. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Subscribe, and hit that bell for notifications. I will be doing a giveaway after hitting 50 subscribers. And also follow me on Instagram, follow me on Twitter, follow me on my Facebook page. If you're looking for a One Piece community to be a part of, we have the One Piece Discord and the One Piece Facebook group. And everything will be in the description box below, as well as the link to this video that we just reacted to. So, y'all have a good day. We should be, as long as nothing happens, should be doing a stream tomorrow as well. Saturday, I might be, might not have a stream on Saturday, but we gonna have chapter discussion stream this Sunday, and I'm happy about that. I'm always happy every time we get a chapter. So, anyway, y'all be easy. Y'all have a good evening. I'm out of here.